So, Dudley, it's nice to have you on here, man. Do you want to introduce yourself for people who may not know you?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, thank you for the invite. I'm
Hmm.
grateful to be here on your platform. And for those of you that don't know me, my name is Dudley Jacques Edouard. Online, I go by Dudley, and I am a men's life coach, entrepreneur. I create content and I help men break through limiting beliefs.
Hmm. What type of limiting beliefs is like the most usual ones?
So, within the work that I do, the clients that come to me are typically men who want to achieve, they're ambitious, but they have a lot of beliefs that stem from their childhood that oftentimes hold them back. So yeah, so I deal with a lot of guys who are ambitious and they want to achieve whatever endeavor it is, but they find themselves either at a blockade or they get to their certain level, but for some reason they always go back down. So I like to uncover the root reason of that. And almost 9 out of 10 times, it stems from some type of belief from their childhood that was instilled in them.
Hmm. Okay. Well, we'll get into that later. Let's start from the beginning. What was your childhood like?
Yeah, my childhood was, I like to say typical because I don't like to be a
Hmm.
victim.
Hmm.
But I'm a Haitian immigrant. I grew up in the States. I grew up in a broken family in the hood, much like many other kids. My upbringing was typical for the people that were in my environment. I'll say
Hmm.
that. Gang violence, but I had a good childhood. Like I had a good family. I had a big family. I
Hmm.
mainly stayed with my mom the the first half in New York. I bounced around from home to home, and it wasn't really until I was about 14 that my dad took me in, and that completely changed the entire trajectory of my life.
Hmm. Okay. How would you raise a son?
How'd I raise a son?
Yeah.
I would raise a son to be stoic. I would raise my son to be Haitian. And the essence of Haitian culture is to have unwavering drive, ambition, and a desire to maximize your life and serve a cause that is bigger than yourself. I would
Hmm.
raise him to be honorable. I'd raise him to be honest. I'd raise him to be himself. My son is going to be, well, my son and my children are going to be children that are going to be extremely educated like their father. I speak multiple languages. I know a little bit about the world. And as I grow, I know that I'm going to instill that in my children. So my sons or children are going to be not only like me, they're going to be better than me.
Hmm. I heard a quote like, "Your father is the only man on earth that wants you to be better than him." Do you agree with that?
I I partially agree and I partially disagree. I agree because correct, your father is going to want you to be better. However, for those who have not been privileged as myself to have a father, you can find that male authoritative guidance figure in a master, whether you are a martial artist, whether you are into sports. Either way, the student always surpasses the master. That's how it should be.
Hmm. Okay, I can see that. Yeah. Do you think like how you grew up affected where you are now?
1000%.
Hmm.
If if I didn't grow up the way that I did, I wouldn't be as tenacious and savvy as I am. Growing up in a specific environment, I learned at a very young age the subtle nuances in human psyche and behavior. I had to be very capable as a young child, being that I was in the streets alone as a kid, and there was all type of things going around me, and I had absolutely no guidance.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I can understand that. Was there like a moment where you decided like, okay, I don't just want to go to school, get a 9 to 5, and that be the highlight of my life. I want more. Like I have a bigger vision. Was there a moment where a pivotal moment where that happened?
Yeah, so my father had always been an entrepreneur. So as a kid, like I grew up like helping him out at the restaurant that he owned.
Mm.
For me, I always knew that I had a bigger calling on my life. I was always drawn to serving people and giving people advice. But being that I was such an insecure kid and unstable in myself, I had a lot of limiting beliefs and self-doubt. This is why this is one of the main things that I coach now because I know how to overcome it. That being said, I would say once my basketball dreams ended and I got injured and I realized I couldn't rely on my body for money, I had to face myself and I had to revisit the same boy that had the passion to serve people. I had been running away from that because I had a speech impediment. I was insecure. I was an immigrant. I had all
Mm.
these little insecurities in me. So it's funny how life brings you back to yourself. And I always say that a man finds his purpose through his pain. So the moment for me was when I got injured, everything came full circle. And then I started my business and I've been grinding ever since.
Mm. So how was like your entrepreneurship journey like?
Up and down, brother. It's been tough. It's my father was an entrepreneur, but he's an elderly man that had a brick and mortar. He had a restaurant, he did taxi. I'm the first person in my family to have a online business and to be doing what I'm doing. I'm the first person to have traveled as much as I have to be actually coaching guys. So I didn't really have any advice, especially being that my environment was one of average people. Not that there's anything wrong with average people, but I've always had a bigger dream. So I've had to teach myself by myself through courses, through YouTube, through networking. And it's been a journey for sure, bro. I'll say that.
So did you like try like any like previous business ideas that failed, like that you didn't succeed in?
Of course,
What was
brother.
that like?
So I got into drop shipping probably like, right? Everybody gets into drop
Yeah,
shipping.
yeah.
Yeah. So I had a, no, so first I got into affiliate marketing and I did that for like a couple years. I made like a little bit of money. And by a little bit, I mean a little bit. It was nothing impressive at all. And then I got into drop shipping like 2018. Um, and I had a health and wellness brand. And I started making sales, but I knew nothing about business. And it's like my overhead was way too high, the margins were trash, and I ended up having to like shut down the store. But all the while, I was on YouTube, but I wasn't consistent. I was just kind of like joking around.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I've tried a lot of different things.
Holy shit. What are you doing now? Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so what I primarily do now is I coach men. I've got my own group right now. It's called the Modern Day Renaissance Man Group. And this is a community dedicated to men who want to maximize all their lives. I've seen a major gap in the male self-improvement space where guys are either focusing on the acquisition of women, talking about texting tactics and dating, or they're focused on the money. I myself am a Renaissance man. A Renaissance man is a man that is knowledgeable in many different disciplines. He's an eclectic, well-rounded man. I teach my guys how to one, overcome themselves, self-sabotage. I teach them how to articulate themselves properly and how to become a polyglot like myself. I teach them body language, how to understand different subtleties. I teach them how to actually speak to women, uncover them, understand their psychology. We dive into style. We dive into also wealth creation, how to personal brand yourself, how to create your business. Everything that encompasses a well-rounded man, I teach this in a group.
I see a lot of guys that neglect a part of their life, like they think that I'm gonna make a lot of money and the women are gonna come automatically. A woman's gonna come knock on my door, or the guy that's going to the gym for the past 5 years, he's jacked, but he's still awkward. He still can't approach a girl in real life. He's scared of girls. Like, yeah, you do have to. You can't neglect any part of your life. I do agree with that absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
modern day Renaissance man is like a man that's well rounded in all areas of life.
Yeah, he's essentially a real life James Bond, literally.
Holy shit,
Literally,
yeah.
he's a real life James Bond, and I saw a major gap in the market, and I know that as I improve, my community and my offer or offers will improve because I put my soul into it. I haven't seen anybody in this space that To put it frank, nobody has the experiences I've had that has lived all over the world, that speaks all these languages,
Mm,
that has really come from the hood, but that is super articulate, that's intelligent, that understands women, that's not angry against women. I've had
mm,
my heart broken too, but I'm not angry. I
yeah.
teach guys how to first dominate themselves and understand themselves, and then they can understand the truths of the feminine and understand how to navigate that, as opposed to what I feel a lot of guys in a red pill are saying, oh, fuck these women. Like, can I curse on here?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So
Yeah,
it's okay.
I see a lot of guys conducting themselves in a zealous manner, saying, "Oh, women, this it's just your turn, bro," and hoes. We know that there's whores, bro, but that's all these guys focus on. Why? I get it. It gets clicks. I'm not here to just get clicks. I'm here to change men's lives. I'm here to actually transform them on a deep level. So this is why my approach is a healthier approach, and it encompasses all facets and pillars of being a well-rounded man.
Mm, yeah, I see a lot of like, what do you think of like podcasts like Fresh and Fit and a lot of these guys that get a panel of girls, a girls in a city like Miami that's promiscuous, and they try they the first thing is like to ask the body count, etc., and then they're surprised when a 19-year-old girl I remember said that her body count was 65 and she collected that in one semester because she slept with a football team. But it's like those are the types of girls that they invite on there, and then their audience doesn't see that there are still some good girls out there that are not like this.
Yeah. For one, I understand from an angle of being a content creator, you have to be a polarizing content creator and have to galvanize attention to get clicked. It's a business, so
Mhm.
that's fun to watch. But I believe that you can have those guests on, but you also have to have the exemplification of respectable women. The
Yeah.
reason I'm able to speak the way that I do about women is because I've had whores, but I've also had really good girls, which most of these
Well,
guys that I will say this, most of these guys, you can tell that they never had genuine burning desire from a woman that they truly wanted, and they only started getting attention when they started getting the money. So they have the money, they might even be in shape, but they're lacking in the other areas. They have traumas, they have insecurities, and you see it manifest in certain guys when they have outbursts. That's all I'm gonna say about
mm,
that.
yeah. I want to ask you about coaching guys. Like, what types of guys do you coach usually? Like, is it young guys, older guys, and what are their problems like usually?
Yeah. So honestly, I have all guys
Mm,
that really come into my system. I have some clients who are 55. I have some young guys who are like 18.
mm,
Uh, I do have a lot of guys who are 16 and 17, but the actual group is 18 plus because we do talk about some graphic things, as you can imagine. But all men who are interested in improving themselves, when they come across the content I put out, because it's so, I have no issue being vulnerable, honest, and real about my life and my shortcomings. But the primary issues that guys that come into my system struggle with is one, the mindset and limiting beliefs,
mm,
them getting over themselves and figuring out why they're afraid to be great, why they're afraid to be seen. And more times than not, that stems from their childhood, something happened to them. Secondly, guys struggle with staying motivated, which I like to say inspired because motivation flees.
mm,
Guys struggle with staying consistent. And this is why I could have just made a course and sold it, but the community and keeping guys accountable and having the weekly coaching calls, I can really help these guys and they get the brotherhood as well. And then thirdly, guys struggle with women. Guys struggle with actually how to, speak to women, how to understand them, how to keep them in their lives. And that has to do a lot again with the mindset and being in your frame. A lot of guys aren't in their frame because they don't have a purpose, because they're not living in their purpose, because when they get some motion in life, they self-sabotage. So everything
mm.
intertwines.
Yeah. I want to ask you something. If let's imagine this imaginary guy. Let's say he's overweight, he's fat, he's 22 years old, he's a virgin, he's never even had a girlfriend. He's
Mhm.
working a 9 to 5. He's making, let's say, 20,000 a year, and he has like bad mental health, and I don't know. Let's say he is unhealthy, broke, lonely, and is just like demotivated or something. He's like uninspired in life. what's like the first step for him to unfuck his life, let's say?
Move his body. He's depressed because he doesn't feel confident in his capacity as a man to defend or protect. On a visceral, profound level, we have to know that we're capable men physically because we are still animals. So he needs to move his body. He needs to train and build up some strength and endurance, and then he
Mm.
needs to move into a martial art discipline. This is not just to be some tough guy. This is what it's going to do for the mind. You're going to build respect for yourself and respect for your fellow man. Now you can be compassionate and move through life with an open heart of love, right? Then he needs to get, if he's in a country that has decent sunlight, he needs to get sunlight, right? And
Mm.
also by going to the gym, he can meet other brothers and start forming healthy male relationships for healthy competition and accountability. That's gonna boost them up having that support system. The job, honestly, depending on what country that you make, $20,000 in a lot of the countries that I've lived in is a top 5% life. Like one thing I try to tell my guys is, bro, stop taking everything that you see on the internet for face value. These are guys who are living in the US and the UK. These countries are privileged, bro. I'm a Haitian who grew up in the US. Our minds are so warped. If you're making $20,000 and you're living in Georgia or Romania or Colombia, you're living a good life. Now, I'm not saying you should just want to stay there. You should aspire to get more. But if you're young, 22, be realistic. I didn't make my first six figures until I was 28 years old. That was 3 years ago. Like guys,
Mm.
guys want to speed the process. So that's what I would say. Move your body, get in shape, build a brotherhood. That's going to build confidence, get into martial arts, keep working, right? Now you're getting income, you're in shape, you have more support, and then get out there and start speaking to women. Get the reps in. You're gonna get rejected, you're gonna embarrass yourself. So what? You're building positive reinforcement. Each
Mm.
rejection you learn and you start to actually study how to interact with women and how to interact with people.
There are two types of guys in self improvement in general that say you should either have a what they call a monk mode period where you for 6 months you don't talk to no one, you don't go out, you don't speak to girls in the gym for 6 months, you're just an incel working hard in your house.
Yeah.
And the second ones are you should do everything. Like you should also speak to women, but also improve yourself, also improve your body. Because it's like the guys on monk mode, they don't realize that even if they stay in the monk mode for years, it's like, yeah, you may, even if you get your goal, even if you make the money, even if you build yourself the man that you want to be, it's way harder for you to find a loyal woman when you're already at the top than find a woman that's gonna be with you at the bottom and she's gonna stay with you all the way to the top. Like Luke Belmar,
Mm,
he said like he had his one girlfriend all his life and he's still
mm.
with her. And it's like I feel like if you're at the top and you're trying to find a girl when you're at the top, you don't know if she would stay with you if you were broke. You don't really can't know that.
Yeah, so I have a betting system that I put women through, but that's a whole nother story. Yeah, I do agree, and this is something that I think about often because I'm nowhere near successful. Like I'm grinding every day, and I think to myself, when I do get to success, like it is gonna be harder potentially to meet certain women. But what I like to do because I I like to vet women out thoroughly because I know what I'm building. I know the value that I bring. The first thing is if one of the first three questions that she asked you was what she do for work, that typically turns me off. And then secondly, when I'm in the USA, I go by Dudley. Any other country, I go by Jacques.
Mm.
That's my name. So they can't really find me like that on social media. I'm aware that what I do, I speak about certain topics that could like, and I show certain things, they could get a preconceived idea about me. Oh, this guy's in this country, he might have some money. So I try to put myself and form myself as a regular person to any girl I meet anywhere. So they have no idea what I do. And then I can kind of see what their true intentions are. That's how I do it. Now that now
Mm.
that I said this, if this video goes, like viral, they'll know, damn, that's Jacques. That's not that's not Dudley.
I wanted to ask you about a lot of guys like give up. Either that's in, let's say, business, either they record, either they start posting on YouTube, they post 10 videos and then they stop because they get zero views. Either they go to the gym and they stop because they don't see results in it for the first 3 months. Either they go to a boxing gym and they give up because they keep getting their ass whooped. Whatever it may be, they give up on something, even if it's relationships, whatever it may be. It's like, why do you think guys give up in these parts of their lives?
Because they're weak. Simple. They're weak. They're focused on the outcome, not understanding that it is the journey that fortifies a man. It is the journey that aggrandizes the man, that brings him to high esteem and glory. Your life
Mm,
as a man is supposed to suck. You have to eat shit. Why? You're the keystone member of the house. You're the protector. You provide. You have to deal with everybody else's problems while simultaneously managing yours. You go to your brotherhood to seek counsel. A man has to take time to ponder upon his problems. This is why all the great philosophers talking about taking time to ponder in deep thought. Many
mm,
men in this day and age, young guys, millennials, Gen Zers, we have grown up in the digital age, the digital renaissance, so to speak. You get online, you could be in Chad, Africa, a third world country where the average person makes $17 a month. You see a guy in a Lambo that's 16, you now you just want to hop online and try to blow up, not understanding that you
mm.
can't compare your chapter 1 to somebody's chapter 17. So guys give up because one, they're weak and they don't want to commit to the journey, to the process. That's why.
Yeah, that's I do agree with us. A lot of people have different answers, like the reason why, and that's cliche. But I mean, cliches a lot of times are cliches for a reason because
Mm-hmm.
people with experience know the same answer. And
Yep.
there again, bro, I'm 17. I'm trying to find my way in life, so I'm never gonna be so arrogant as to say I have the answers for guys my age because I don't. That's why I also do these podcasts because I like learning from people who are older than me, more successful than me, and know more than me. I've experienced life. At 17, my life hasn't even started, so
Yeah.
I could never give guys advice on life. I see like some.
You could though. You could though, but I understand what you're saying because like for me, I'm 31 and a lot of my friends are 45 and 50 and 60 and I learn from them. But I also have friends who are, like my age as well or
Mm,
younger.
yeah, but I see a lot of like guys that made like 5,000 a month with let's say with drop shipping, for example, and they are like 15-year-old life coach, and I'm like, okay, you could coach guys on drop shipping, but you cannot coach guys on life in general and life advice because you haven't really experienced that much life. And it's like, yeah, it's about humility, I think. I want to ask
Yeah.
you about fitness something. Do you think there's like any correlation between like health and wealth, as people say?
1000% because everything comes from you having a sound mind and an able body. And if your body is in agony, your mind is not going to be running intact. So I'll even dive a little deeper. The food that we feed our bodies, which is exactly what I teach my guys, our cells
Mm,
replenish themselves based off of the food that we put in our bodies. So if we're eating chemicals that are hazardous to the body, endocrine disruptors and neurotoxins, you're not going to be well because you see all these guys who have the money, and it goes back to what I was saying, being a Renaissance man, having one pillar but not having the other. If you just have the money and you're not in good health, you're going to be miserable. You have to have it all, and you can have it
mm.
all
Like, why do you think some guys go to the gym for, let's say, 5 months, but they don't see results, and that's where they give up? They go for a couple of months, 2, 3, 4 months, and they see each other the same, and then they see these transformations on YouTube. Like a guy in 3 months uh did a whole at 180, and it's like, are those really just 3 months, or is it more like 3 years? And they compare themselves to that. It's like, why do you think some guys don't see the result that they expect?
because they have unrealistic expectations. And again, it goes back to comparison, right? comparing themselves to what they see online. The internet is not a real world. I like to say you have to have your blinders on like a horse and run your race and focus on your race. Most guys are not committed to the process. Again, they want the outcome. They want the medal on top of the hill. They don't want the climb. The joy, no matter how hard it is in the climb. This is when you become the man that you seek to be. It's while you're in agony, while you're eating shit, while you're climbing up. This is what makes a man. It's not when you get there. When you get there, you'll feel good. Oh, yeah, cool. And then it's on to the next. This is how the masculine mind works, conquest.
Mm. How long have you been training for?
A long time. I've been playing basketball since I was 14. So I have more of an athletic background. So I
Mm.
played basketball in high school, American football, like track and field. And the way that I train is different from a lot of guys. I do yoga, I do Pilates,
Mm.
I swim, I do bar class, ballet class, I run, I play basketball, I lift. Like I incorporate bodybuilding, Pilates, everything, because I believe a man should be functional and capable. I don't have to be the biggest guys. I'm 6'5", 230 pounds. That's
Mm.
195 centimeters
Big
and
guy, bro.
about 99 kg. And
Yeah,
I always, yeah, go ahead.
you're a big guy. What the fuck? Yo.
And because I'm a little bit bigger, I have to stay flexible. So this is why I do the yoga, I stretch every day. Because you see guys who are so buff, but they can't wipe their ass.
Or they
It's
can't scratch
true.
your back. Yeah, I saw
Exactly.
that.
It's good for sex too in the bedroom, man. Women like a man that's
Mm.
flexible, that's capable.
Yeah.
I'm strong enough to pick you up. I'm flexible enough to,
Yeah.
I don't gotta say.
Yo, like you really are well-rounded, man. Like ballet and yoga, I would not expect that. What the hell? Yo, how does that like translate into real life? What is that good for?
Man, everything. It works all the little stabilizer muscles in
Mm.
your entire body. Like, let's say that you were in a street fight and it got taken down like to the floor, like you could tear your shoulder
Mhm.
or something. But if you strengthen all the little muscles and ligaments and
Mm.
tendons, bro, you're gonna be durable. So I do
Holy
I
shit.
do yoga and Pilates to bulletproof my entire body. Like right now, I had a shoulder injury because I went back to bench press. God knows why. I should never did that shit, and I tweaked it. And the
What the
yoga
fuck?
has been helping me so much, bro. It could have been way worse.
Mm. Holy shit. I got no idea about that. I had no idea. Yo, what was like one life lesson that either the gym has taught you or martial arts?
Yeah, so being fit in general, the gym taught me to be patient, right? It taught me patient
Mm.
whether I had an injury with basketball or whether I had specific goals for my physique or for my performance. It taught me how to also be tenacious, how, after a tough loss, like you have to keep your head up and
Mm-hmm.
go back
Yeah.
and study your opponent and go back again. It taught me brotherhood and camaraderie. It taught me accountability. If coach said we have to be on the track at 4:45 a.m., I'm there by 4:35 because I gotta lace up my
Mm-hmm.
shoes. Honestly, sports, it taught me a lot. I would say everything, but it taught me a lot, man. A lot.
Hmm. Holy shit. I mean, uh, I started going to the gym when I was 15, and I remember I've been going to the gym for two and a half years now, and it's like 2 months ago I went for the first time, or not for the first time, but for the first time I went sparring inside of a boxing gym, like not just those like cute battle works or the gym bag.
Yeah.
No, I was so arrogant, and I asked the guy if he wanted to spar. Now, just for a record, that guy was smaller than me, and so I thought that, like, okay, I'll be the one who goes easy on him. I was like, okay, I need to go easy on him, you know?
He
I was so
humbled you, huh?
arrogant to believe that, just because I was going for the gym for 2 years. So I went in, within the first 30 seconds of the first round, he got me in the corner and I was gassed out. And I was like,
Oof.
I thought that my stamina from cardio is good and that I'm a healthy young man. I was like, I would have never expected this guy to be so dangerous. And I was like, it's a guy that was smaller than me physically, so I thought that he wasn't a threat. Whereas if you were to fuck with him on the street, this guy is more dangerous than a guy that was like 20 pounds heavier than him. He was like 15 pounds lighter than me, and like I'm 6 foot, he was like 5'8". He was a really smaller
Wow.
guy. But I did not expect like less than a minute I lasted with him in the ring. And
See?
I was dumb for choosing not to go with headgear. Like I had a bloody
Oh,
nose and shit, and yo, that was the biggest life lesson I've ever heard. That humbled me, you know.
yeah, you needed that. I
I
have a
needed,
tremendous amount of respect for
yeah,
fighters because one, it takes balls. And I know if
definitely.
I were to get in a ring right now, I'm out of my element. So humbly, I would want to learn. Like I'm not going in there like,
Hmm.
oh, I'm 6'5". And no, I'm out of my element. I come here humbly as a student to learn.
Hmm.
And a lot of men, they don't know how to be meek. They don't know how to learn, how to,
Hmm.
submit to authority.
Mm. Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, it's in the male ego, and it takes like what's like humble humility. Is that how you say
Mm-hmm.
it? So it's like takes a lot of humility to accept that someone that seems or looks less dangerous than you is 10 times more dangerous than you and stronger, better than you in certain things. And it like takes humility, which I needed to learn, for example.
Mm-hmm.
That,
It's always
that
the guys that don't show it, that don't have to
yeah.
flex their muscle. Those are the real killers.
Okay, quick break there. So I have another question. How do you keep yourself like disciplined every day? Because it's like I feel like everybody has those days when you just don't feel like it, when you just really don't want to wake up or just don't want to do it. I don't know if you ever experienced that. It's like you have a task that you really don't want to do. How do you like keep yourself disciplined into doing that?
I just do it. And I know that sounds like simple, that's not really helpful, but a lot of my strength and willpower comes from my culture as a Haitian. We're
Mm,
extremely unruly people and honestly just freaking crazy. Like the the pride that I have in my culture, how I was raised, is one of a group of people that didn't have any other option but to do and achieve. So,
mm,
and then, and then secondly, on a more practical level, because I understand that not everybody has this type of like belief, but asking myself how bad do I want it and putting my goals first.
mhm,
When I think about my goals, I figured out that I had to live like the man that I want to be right now every day. So if I see myself being this
mm,
rich, successful guy with a beautiful woman and kids and helping guys all over the world, I had to ask myself, what type of actions would that guy take? How would he walk? How would
mm,
he eat? How would he sleep? Who would he be around? And my desire to be great outweighs my lack of wanting to do something that day, like the
mhm,
gym. Because honestly,
mm.
I don't want to go to the gym 90% of the time. It
Really?
hurts. It hurts. But once I get started, I love it. Once I
Mm.
get sweating, then I'm like, okay, yeah, bitch, let's go. I talk to myself like that, bro. That's me personally. I call myself a bitch in my mind at times when I'm being a bitch.
Mm. So, is like discipline something that you're born with, or is it a skill that you can build? Because a lot of people may have been grown up in a household where, let's say, everything was going right for them. Like they had an easy childhood. And so
Yeah.
when things get tough as an adult, they may not have that discipline, that drive as you have. How is it a skill that you can build? Discipline.
Discipline has to be exercised. It has to
Mm,
be built. It's something that it's a knife that you constantly have to sharpen because if you
mm,
slack, it'll get dull. Like for example, I speak several languages, and if I don't speak them for a year and a half, 2 years, yeah, I can still speak them, but I'm not going to be as fluent. It's the same thing with the gym. You can build a muscle, but if you don't maintain that muscle, you have to discipline yourself. As a man as well, you have to discipline yourself with women and who you give your time to. So it definitely has to be exercised. I don't believe that you're born with it because the natural
mm,
inclination of man is to drift towards comfort. We all want to be comfortable. And comfort is the death of a man. A man should
Mm.
always be seeking pain.
Okay, that does make sense. So it's like, how do you go about doing discipline? It's building that discipline is just by doing the hard task. Is that like how do you build it?
Oh, great question. So this is how I do it. I like to break things down into bite-sized pieces that I can digest. I play little games with myself in the
Mm.
head. Like for example, if I don't want to go to the gym, I say, hey, let's just go there for 10, 15 minutes. Maybe we just get in the sauna. Maybe we just, do a little stairmaster. That's
Mm.
it. I get there. By the time I'm 15 minutes in a deep sweat, I'm ready to go. I'm ready for war.
Mm.
Or if let's say I'm doing shoulder press or pull ups and I'm at like 5, I'm struggling with 6. I said, if you don't get this next rep, your entire family dies. Your mom dies, your dad
Oh
dies.
shit.
And I swear to, I find the power somehow because that's in the soul,
Mm.
that's in the stomach. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
a man has way more inside of him than he thinks he has.
Mm.
And you have more than that. And you have more than that. When it comes to life and death, you have unlimited resources
Mm.
to pull from. And many men never tap into those reserves because they're comfortable.
Yeah, I remember in middle school, like I was always the kid that when we were doing a run, I was the one in the back, the one who stopped running and started walking, the lazy one, the one that I thought I was gassed out. I thought that I didn't have any more in me because it was for PE for school. I didn't care about that. But one day when I went from school with a backpack on my back that weighed like 10 pounds, it was blazing hot in the summer. I was tired, sweaty. I saw a dog started barking and running after me. Bro, I ran for like 5 minutes without stopping, sprinting until I got home and I got into the backyard and the dog was still in front of my house. But I was like, that's when I realized like I had so much more in me. I could have ran. I ran
Yeah.
from when you run for your life because a dog is chasing you. You don't stop. You don't get gassed out. It's like that's the day when I realized, okay, I can actually run for 5 minutes without stopping, because I was
Yeah.
running like half a kilometer because that dog didn't stop. And it was like
Yeah.
it was a small dog. It wasn't a dog that would kill me. That wasn't a dog that was
It was a small
dangerous.
dog.
Yeah, but that little son of a bitch didn't stop. He was like kept running after me, and I was even with a backpack on my back. It's like, man, I was surprised.
Yeah, you tapped into a different state, and we have the ability to change our states on command. Actually, a great book that speaks about that is this right here, Unlimited
Unlimited
Power
power
by
by
Tony
Tony
Robbins.
Robbins. Huh.
And like this is my second time reading this book. Like I bought it back in 2018, and he talks about how you can get into any state that you want. There's people that can walk on hot coals, people that can pick up cars. You have to get into that right
Mm.
state, and that's what I'm talking about when I'm doing pull-ups and I have one more rep. In my mind, I really believe that if I don't get this rep, my family
Mm.
is gonna die. Everyone I love is gonna die. And when you push yourself in that type of situation, you're gonna find them. You're gonna find that strength.
Yeah, yeah, that is true actually. People have so much more in reserve that they think about even in the gym. Like I tell my when I still had like a gym bro, I was telling him like you have one more rep, and he was like no. But when I pushed him, it's like I can see that he can still do that last rep with he still had like three more in reserve. But yeah, people don't know how much they have in them. Uh,
Mhm.
did you have any idols or people that inspired you?
Yeah, lots of people.
Mm,
James
okay.
Bond, Bruce Wayne, um, WWF, WWE characters. Uh, yeah, I mean, lots of like LeBron James, like a bunch of different people inspired me,
Mm.
honestly. Like both from like fictional to, like reality, honestly. Uh, who else? Goku. Lots of people.
What do you think is like? What do you think are like a few good? I don't want to say role models because you should still have your own identity, but what are some people that you can really learn a lot from? Like a lot of guys that young guys can look up to.
Good question. I think any man that is constantly pushing himself, striving for greatness while being
Wow.
authentic and saying that and showing that he's not perfect. It doesn't matter
Mm.
what industry he's in. Any man that's not afraid to show his flaws while lifting people up is
Mm.
a man worthy of being marveled because many people put on masks. We all do it when we're in different settings, whether it's
Mm.
work or it's with family. I think a man that's able to be his authentic self and show that I'm human too.
Mm-hmm.
And though you may see me at this spot right here, I may have money, I may have the women, I may have all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a human person as well. Any person that's like that, I respect a man like that.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, I can agree with that. Let's talk about traveling. Like, what's the best places you have been into?
Oh, that's a tough question. So I have a lot of different places that I really enjoyed. So I lived in South America for 3 years. I lived in
Mm.
Colombia. I spent some time in Peru.
Mm.
I lived in Italy. In terms of the best places for different reasons. In terms of my favorite country, I really enjoyed Turkey. I really enjoyed Peru. Colombia is definitely up there. I like it because it's a beautiful country. The scenery, every city is so different. The culture is different. The food, the people are so just kind. It's some of the most beautiful women in the world. It has extreme luxury, but it's still a third world country. It's so raw and real, and it's so familiar to me as a Haitian. And
Mm.
it's just, I don't know, man. I love Colombia,
Mm.
but Turkey is nice too. Iceland was probably one of the most unique nations I've been to.
Hmm. How come?
I wasn't used to seeing scenery
Mm.
like the scenery that's in Iceland. Like it was just, I felt like I was on another planet. Like,
Mm. Like, if you were right now have to choose a place that you called home for the rest of your life, let's say, if you had to move to a place and stay there, do you have any idea where would that be? Because one
tough.
more, I would just want to say one more thing. It's like a lot of people are born in a country and they live in that country for the rest of their life, and that's their home. I feel like that's kind of unfair. You should choose your own home, not
Hmm.
have that home chosen for you already.
Good perspective. Well, I've only been to about like uh, 29, 30 countries. So I
Mm.
can't speak for all 195, but based off of
Mhm.
the countries that I've been to, if I had to live there, 1 second, I think the camera's going to look
Yeah,
a little bit blurry.
it helps
All right,
like
there we
putting your
go.
finger. Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah, but if I had to choose one country to live for the rest of my life, based off of the countries I've been to, which is not that many, Colombia's up there, man. I gotta be honest, man. Colombia has everything I need. You got the beach in the coast. You've got
Mm.
the big cities, high rise, extreme luxury, high society, but you've got the real raw culture because
Mm.
it's not destroyed by Western philosophy, like Western mindset. The most beautiful women in the world, family
Mm.
values. It's a religious nation. The food is amazing. It's super affordable to live
Mm.
for $1,200 a month. You can live like a king. Uh, I mean, yeah, beach, city, snow, desert. It has everything.
Mm. Okay, interesting. Let's get into some rapid fire questions before we wrap up. What's the
Okay.
purpose of life?
For a man or for a woman?
Let's say for a man. I think that the majority of people are gonna be watching
Okay.
this as men.
Okay. The purpose of life for a man is to self actualize. And what I mean by that is to realize why he came here. And he's going to find that through his pain, through his trials. And once a man is able to overcome that, should he have the right perspective, he can look from outside of his life and realize that Everything he went through was a disciplinary love by God in order to equip him to serve the masses. I believe that we are the most equipped to serve the former versions of ourselves. Everybody has a teacher inside of them.
Okay, that's a really interesting answer. What's the biggest lie you've ever heard?
Good question. The biggest lie I ever heard is that life is short. I believe that if you position your life correctly, like for example, when you're in agony and you're suffering, life seems long. When
Mm,
you're enjoying life, it seems to go by. So I think it's a matter of the perspective that you have. And then secondly, money is the root to all evil. Money is just a value exchange. I believe that money is inside of us. We have a certain value, and what we give to the world, we'll get back in currency or money. So
mm.
that's two.
You know, I don't. I heard this quote, and it's Logan Paul has said it, but I don't like him. But I like this quote from him, which I do agree with him on this. Life's not short. You just gotta do more. That's what he said, and I agree with that. And I think that's also important to, even if you don't like a person, to still listen to their advice. And if they say something smart, to still accept it, not just because you don't like the person. It's not like you have to disregard everything they say. And I found
You're
myself
very
doing.
mature.
I
You're
found
very
myself.
mature at 17, brother.
I
Sorry to cut you
saw
off. Go ahead.
myself doing that a lot in the past. Yeah. What's the best advice you've ever been given?
3 months ago, my older brother died suddenly. He had two kids and a wife,
Oh,
and
sorry for passing.
it's okay. And it hurt me and the family tremendously. And while I'm sitting at the funeral, and I'm
Mm,
sitting next to my dad, and it's us and it's a bunch of women in the family and kids,
mm,
and I start to. I had been holding in the pain. I start to weep and
mm,
sob and cry. And my dad grabs me and he says in Creole, "Kembete tu, si tombe tu mun tombe." And that means bring your head up. If you fall, the family falls. And so he
mm,
said, it's our job as the men to be strong for all the women and children.
mm,
And it's like, bro, like
mm,
in that moment, like I saw my dad's strength, his firstborn son,
mm,
dad at just 36. And I'm like, my dad is so fucking strong, bro. And I'm
mm.
strong too, but that's my brother, bro.
Yeah.
So, man, that right there, it showed me the depths of strength that a man needs to have.
Mm,
It's bigger than us, bro.
yeah.
This is why we have to be strong. This is why we have to be consistent. This is why we have to focus on the journey. This is why life is hard. It's from moments like this when your woman is looking up to you, your children, and you're a leader, and your brothers and your squadron or your family organization.
Mm,
A man has to be strong, bro. And that was the best advice. If you fall, everybody falls.
mm, yeah. I have an older brother. He's 6 years older than me, and I could not imagine that. So you're fucking strong for like I mean, what's the option like? I mean, I think he would be proud of you if you continued going. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do I can imagine that happening. Yeah, so definitely. What's the worst advice you have been given?
Man, I've been given so much bad advice, bro. I mean, people telling me just to try to live an average life and fit in. People telling me just to go a regular route, get a job, and
Mm,
not do this and not do that. All my life, people have been telling me what I should do, but when I look up, I'm somewhere where they're not. So
mm.
I tell my guys all the time, you gotta have selective hearing. You have to protect your
Mm,
mind and guard your mind with your life because if you let people infiltrate your mental fortress,
mm,
it it can destroy you.
mm. Yeah. I heard like the best advice from Andrew Tate was, don't take advice from people if you don't want to live their life. If you don't want your life to end up like them, don't listen to their advice. And that's changed
Yeah.
like my perspective on a lot of like advice I can hear some advice, but do not always have to apply it if I do not look up to that person. Now, for example, yeah, there are people like my dad. Like, I respect him. I fucking love my dad, and I look up to him. He's very strong, and I know what he's went through. It's like, yes, I will not take like business advice from my dad, but I will take business advice from people that are in that industry. So,
Yeah.
like, yeah, what's your favorite quote?
Lost is change, and change is nature's delight.
Who said that?
I believe Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah, he's a very smart man.
Yeah. And that I came across that quote when I was living in Italy. I was in a little small town and I was dealing with great loss and great heartache. I was heartbroken,
Mm,
I was lost, and I was just studying stoicism and I was
mm,
picking my life back up. And I came across that and I was like, damn, lost is change and change like that is just so profound, man. I'm like, damn. Like
mm,
imagine how much pain he had to go through in order to
yeah.
construct a simple saying like that.
Mm. Quick question: if you were like, let's say, on your deathbed, and you had to say one last thing to the world, what would be your quote?
Be a beacon of light for those that trot in the hallway of obscurity.
Mm.
That's an
Yeah.
original quote, by the way. That's by me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
just
fucking deep.
yeah, be a light for those who are lost, and you become that light by
Mm.
outshining your darkness. Man, actually,
Oh
I'm gonna write that
shit.
down. I'm gonna
Holy
write,
shit,
I'm gonna
man.
write that down. I don't know where that came from.
Yeah. Holy fuck, man. Another
Yeah.
question: is reading a waste of time?
Yes and no. No, it's not a waste of time because you get to learn from other people's mistakes,
Mm.
and a smart man learns from his mistakes. A wise man
Mm.
learns from the mistakes of others. So that's it's extremely viable. You have all these greats, the philosophers,
Mhm.
the scientists or what have you. You can learn from their lives and mistakes because they're no longer here. They can't speak to us, but you can learn from their lives. The only time that reading becomes a waste of time is when you don't apply the knowledge. A lot of people like to read just to
Yeah.
say that they read. But if you're
Mm.
reading and you're taking notes and you're implementing and you're actually applying,
Mm.
reading, as you can see, man, I read.
I always find it like strange because a lot of guys ask. I had a friend of me ask me, like, I told him I started reading a book, The Way of the Superior Man, if I've ever heard about that. He asked me, like,
Mhm.
okay, but how many books have you read? And I was like, man, it's not about how many books have you read. It's not like a Netflix series that you watch through and you Netflix your way through it as soon as quick as possible. I sometimes read 5 pages, but I read them twice because I see myself not paying full attention to some of the lessons in it, and it's like I read a chapter. I could read 5 chapters at once, but I decide to read 2 chapters and read them twice, and let that be it for the day or for the morning. Because
Yeah.
if I read through 5 chapters, it's harder for my brain to remember and apply all the lessons from the 5 chapters. And it's the same with books. I'm not reading 10 books a year. I'm reading like 3 books that I read twice, and that's what works for me, and what I've learned a lot from. Like
That's
that's.
very wise.
Mm,
Like for me, I read 20 minutes a day, and
mm,
I could typically read maybe 10 to 12 pages, and I just sit down afterwards and I actually digest
mm.
what I just read.
It's also like I see. I read a page. I read usually like 2 or 3 pages, and I read them once or twice. But it's like I then go into my journal and just try to say it in my own words. so I can understand it when I read my own interpretation of the lesson. Because you're the best person to understand your own words, you know.
Yep.
So that's what I do. Just a few sentences. I'm not gonna rewrite the whole page. I'm just okay. What have I learned from this? You know, that's what I do. One last question. If you could give any advice to your 17-year-old self, what would it be?
Man, I would tell my 17-year-old self to be authentically me. I am somebody who you could probably tell is unorthodox.
Mm,
I'm an African that grew up in the US. English is my third language. I
mm,
speak multiple languages. I've lived in the hood. I've
mhm,
experienced extreme luxury. I have high level friends. I like to read. I do Pilates. I listen to trap music. I, I'm such an eclectic individual
mhm,
that I don't fit any stereotypes of what it is to be a
mm,
young man or black man. And I was always afraid of letting my just being myself because I wanted to be accepted. The greats don't care about being accepted. This is why they are marveled at and held in high esteem. The greats
mm,
are authentically themselves. So that's what I would tell my 17-year-old self. It's okay to be you. You're a little bit weird. That's
mhm,
fine. You're weird right now. In 20, 50 years, they'll call you intelligent. They'll call you a
mm.
great. They'll tell you, you know,
I've heard like one thing. I don't know if it was a quote or just a, a thought from someone, but it was like people don't usually care about you as a man. People don't care about you unless you're successful or dead. That's when people start like caring about you. So don't care about what other people think about you right now, because most people are self-centered. So nobody really pays attention to the mistakes you do, like on a day-to-day basis. It's like, okay, you spilled your coffee in a coffee shop. Yeah, people are gonna look at you and maybe keep it in mind for a minute or two, and they're gonna forget about it because they go on with their days. So it's like, don't don't really think that everybody's looking at you and thinking about you every single day, every single moment. Because no, like most people are paying attention to their lives. Okay, so what's next for Dudley J. Edouard? I hope
so
I
for
pronounced
me,
your name.
yeah, that was with the French accent too. So I like
Ah.
that. Uh, what's next for me is scaling up the business, coaching and helping as
Mm,
many guys as possible, establishing authority in the male self improvement space and showing guys that it's okay to be well rounded, not just focus on the women, not just focus on the money, but also become an intellectual. Guys, I would say 35 and younger, we've lost the ability to be classy, elegant gentlemen that are intellectual, that are still capable and dangerous. You can be all of that. And as I get better, I'm going to continuously serve my community and my guys and exemplify what it means to be a true Renaissance man in an
mm,
age I call darkness because many people are lost. Many people
mm.
they're drifting through life. They have no purpose. They don't know what's what. And if I can be a beacon of light in any way in that hallway, then
Mm.
I'm doing my job.
Where can people find you?
They can find me on YouTube at Dudley J Edouard, so DudleyJEdouard, and then on Instagram at Dudley_E.
Okay, okay. Well, Dudley, thanks a lot for that you took your time for this interview. It was a really good conversation. I think that a lot of people, including myself, can learn a lot from it. I'm gonna rewatch this once or twice and take a look at it again. Have a nice day, man, and thank you for everything, guys. I appreciate that you watched this till the end, and have a beautiful day.